Good evening, YouTubers. Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight to start a new lake breakdown series. This one is going to be for Lake Ray Roberts. This was actually the 2021 Bassmaster Classic was held here. I was hoping to get the lake breakdowns done for you guys, quicker than this, but hey, these things take a while. As you know, I put a lot of time into these for you guys. So this is it. We're going to start the series. We're starting tonight on the Google Earth side for Ray Roberts. So I think you guys are really going to like this. You'll see we've got tons of points to share with you, and we are super excited to kick this one off. So make sure, go out and check out our website, simplisticfishing.com. It's got a lot of different lakes out there for you, and this is another one that we're going to add to the list. Here we go. Let's get started. All right, before we jump in, the first thing that I want to show you is the fishing page for Ray Roberts Lake. So to start with, let's just kind of talk about a few of the things before we jump in. First off, location on the Elm Fork of the Trinity River. It's 10 miles north of Denton on Farm Road 455. So you can basically go up there. I think you can see it on the map as well, and we'll show it to you on Google Earth, but it's just north of Lake Louisville. Conservation pool is 632 feet. Normal clarity is pretty clear, and the fluctuation is only 3 to 5 feet. So this lake does not fluctuate that much. It does say that it does have aquatic vegetation, native emergent vegetation, including water willow and cattail. You've also got char, milfoil, and non-native hydrilla, which can also fluctuate with the water level. So depending on what you're seeing on Google Earth, you're probably going to see that those grass lines and things move around. As far as predominant fish species, you got largemouth bass, white bass, blue catfish, channel catfish, crappie, and sunfish. We look down here at the fish species. It says that largemouth bass is excellent, catfish is good, crappie's good, crappie's excellent, white bass is excellent, and sunfish. And it also gives you some pretty good information on black bass, or what we call largemouth bass, and then as well as where to kind of go and find them. So definitely go out and look at Texas Park and Wildlife site. It's got a lot of good information for Lake Ray Roberts, but I've got a lot more information for you coming right up. So let's switch over and let's talk about Google Earth. All right, here we are, Lake Ray Roberts. I think we've talked about this one before, but this one's going to be just a little bit north of all of our DFW lakes. So you got Lake Louisville here, Lake Louisville, Lake Grapevine, or Grapevine Lake. Over here where I'm at, we've got Hubbard, and then we've also got Lake Lavon. So all just a little bit north of us is a lake called Ray Roberts. We talked about it in the introduction. That's where we're going to start at today. So over here on the left-hand side, what I've done is I've broken this out by offshore hotspots, creek channels, ponds, rocks, debris and cover, and then also the ramps. You guys heard me talk about the boat ramp pattern. So let's go ahead and jump into this one. I'm always going to start on the dam and work my way one way or the other. So tonight, let's go ahead and start at the dam down here. Let me move this out of the way. And what we're going to do is we're going to take off the offshore hotspots. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about those. And we'll actually bring out the contour map when we do that. And we'll talk about those where they're at. So let's go ahead and start here at the corner of the dam. We're going to work our way all the way up this side, and then we'll go down and pretty much make a circle around the entire lake, and then we'll finish back here down at the dam. So first off, let's go down here to the corner, and let's take a look at this. You can see that I've got everything marked as rock. First thing we want to do is go up here to the timeline, and we want to move this timeline back. Typically, it's 2014 in our region when the lake seems to be pulled down. So we'll pull it back to 2014. We'll take a look at it, and we'll see what kind of image that it's going to give us. And you can see here that obviously the lake is a lot further down than we were seeing before. And this pretty much exposes a lot of different things for us to take a look at. So you can see here, I probably should have marked that, but you've got a nice little hole right here between where that rock is. And I don't know if that's like a seawall or what that is, but some kind of wall there. But that area right in there could be a good little spot because it's a little break in where you have the riprap, and it's like a little, almost like a little ditch that you have there. So that'd be a good spot to look at. Didn't even mark that one. Didn't even notice that last time. Don't know how I missed it, but every time I look at these, I see something that that I missed the time before, and I can look at them 100 times and say that. So I'll get you started here with these Google Earth waypoints, but go out, do the same thing I'm doing, see what else you can find, mark them, and I can even teach you how to export them if you want to know how to do that. So right here off of this point, we've got some really good rock. We've also got some really good rock right here off of this point as well. You can see we've probably got a really good drop. And ironically, we've got 2 boats right here on both of those points. So main lake point with rock, you're definitely going to be in good shape. Now, as we move back here, there's a little secondary point right in here. You can see it right here. I can't get it, to angle down correctly, but right here would be your rock that you could fish around right here off the secondary point. I could see this being a good area. Kind of pinches in right here. It's got rock on both sides, so I could see where that could be a really good spot for you guys to take a look at. Now, as we move a little bit further up here, of course, we've still got a lot of rock to fish around. So your shallow diving crankbaits, all that stuff is going to be really good in these areas. You've also got some more rock over here off this main lake point. I'm not sure how far off this rock goes, but it appears that it's pretty much on the land. It wasn't man-made, so that rock probably goes out quite a bit further out into the lake. Now, moving over here, you've got a little bit of a transition area going on, so that's why I marked this rock in this area. You can see here, you've got kind of that chunky rock. It's pretty large, and then it goes down to these really small, almost like a gravel bar area right in here, and then back to rock. And they like those transition spots, so setting up right here on this side, fishing this side of the rock, or fishing over here on this area right in this spot could be a really good spot to take a look at. Now, as you look, that transition area started, that rock starts to get a little bit smaller. So I didn't see too much in there, but always look at these transition areas that are here. Like right here, you can see a really good one where you've got rock and then it immediately just goes to the sand. So you could set up right on that transition area and probably find some fish at some point in time, depending on what time of year it is. So as we move further up here, there is a little bit of rock in here. So we went ahead and marked that. Got a little bit of an outcropping that comes out here. So take a look at that spot. You've also got some additional rock off of this point. Now, again, I can't tell how far this goes out. Now, obviously, the lake is pulled way down in this image, so it makes it look like, the rock is right there on the shoreline, but it's not. If I moved it up to 2021, you'd see that this is completely under the water. So just take a look at it. Not sure how far that rock goes out, but you've definitely got some really good shallow rock to fish there. As we move further out here, of course, on this lake, you've got to be careful everywhere you go. There's stumps and trees and everything. So just be careful what you're fishing. But if I come back here into this pocket, and I'm right here, and in fact, you know what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to show you where we're at. So we're just now starting to come up into this first pocket. So as we come up into this first pocket, a couple things that really piqued my interest. They must have had a tournament going on or something on this lake. There are boats everywhere in this image, but right here, the secondary point, it looks like you may even have some, maybe some milfoil or some, I don't know what the heck, some kind of grass or something like that, maybe right around this edge possibly. And it might not be there anymore. But the main thing is you've got a lot of rock right in this area. So you've got a really good little secondary point that comes out right in this area. You've also got another good point right here that this boat's on. And I could see these being great points when the water's up. I'm not sure how good they'll be when the water's completely down like that. But those boats still are fishing those points. Those are good little points to fish. And then through here, you can see where it's kind of muddy, sandy, and then you kind of get these hard areas where it's a lot brighter. Right in here is a really good rocky area too. So I went ahead and put rock here, but really I'm talking more like this whole stretch. You can see the whole thing where it gets just a lot brighter than the rest of everything else. Then we get back in here, we got standing timber. I wouldn't go about to start marking standing timber for you on this lake because I would have marked a ton. There's a ton of standing timber on this lake. You've also got these nice, just rocky areas that are very unique, and I've got them all marked for you. This is one of them again, where you've got just that dirt and sand, and then you finally get to a hard spot, some rock there. You've also got some rock out here as well. So again, you got the dirt, the transition area that we talked about. Here's your rock, and then you got another transition area on this side. As we look here, you can tell there's some kind of roadbed or something going on here, but I didn't see any concrete around it or anything that would attract the fish. Now, you might have some changes in elevation there, some contour changes that they might be attracted to. So maybe it'd be worth coming out here and just looking at this roadbed and seeing if you can find some kind of debris or cover to fish around that's around that roadbed, or that roadbed's actually creating. So I'm going to move up here. There's nothing that I found back in this pocket, you got a real short little creek bed in here, so nothing too crazy. You've also got some points out here. You've got a nice secondary point that's right in this area that's got some rock in it. We've also got a couple more areas right in here where we've got rock in this spot right here. Let me zoom in and show it to you guys. And then we've got rock right in this area as well. So if you look right here, what I really like about this spot is that you've got all this scattered rock. And one thing that I like to throw is I like to throw wobble heads or the swing head jigs. And so basically what that is, you're just basically, you've got this weight on the head of the hook that swings freely. And you can pretty much put your favorite Texas rig on it, depending on which one you get, the hook size. And it's really great for areas like this, especially for stuff like this, where it's kind of scattered light rock, but it's over a point and you want to be able to chuck it, over a point, kind of like, it's almost just like fishing a regular jig, but you're not fishing it the same way, but you can chuck it so far because if you get the heavy ones, you can cover this, almost all this point. Anyways, you throw it out there, you let it go all the way to the bottom, and then you just slow roll it and just crawl it over these little bitty rocks. And you'll feel every single one of the rocks. You'll know when you're around the rock, when you're around the mud, when you're getting close to transitions. It's just a really good lure to throw, especially if maybe you don't have that confidence in the in the regular jig or the football head jig, or maybe you just get tired of throwing the jig like me and you just want to throw different stuff. Then that's definitely a good one to throw. And I can see areas like this, for whatever reason, it's just triggering me to say, hey, bring that up, because that seems like a really good lure that I would use, especially in an area like this where I've got scattered rock. All right, so I'm going to get off that little topic there. Let's keep moving on. We're going to go down here. Again, we got another good point right in here that's got some really good rock. You can see here the transition area is right there. We've got another one right over here, but then you've got some really good rock all in this area that you could fish as well. Over here, a little bit of almost like a ditch that's happening right in here, but then you've also got a little rock that's right on the side, real good pile that's right in here. It's different than everything else. You definitely got rock in this area, but this is more of a pile or a collection of rocks. So I went ahead and marked that one. Also over here, you've got some of that scattered rock going on in here. You've also got some stuff you could probably flip. So I could see them being attracted to this area where this rock is, especially when you got the dirt and then the rock and then the dirt. So that kind of collects them in those areas. Again, right in here, another one of those spots where a little secondary point, very subtle secondary point, but some really good rock on the top of it. You can see here in the image. Let me move that up a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. But right in there. All right, so then moving around this pocket, we get into pretty much we lose our rock for a little bit. So now we've just got sand and dirt, not a lot going on here, not too much going on that bank line. But I did find these pond dams. And I would have marked them with tracks, but we've got quite a bit of creek channels and things like that on this lake. So I didn't want to mark them with tracks because I figured we'd run out of tracks eventually. So I did mark them with waypoints, and you can see them here. This is a really good pond dam that you could fish. So right in here, and you've heard me talk about it several times. If you can access it, and get set up correctly. To me, the best way to fish these pond dams is not to fish it like where this kayaker is and fish out this way. But to me, it would be to take that kayaker and say, hey, go up here and get on the bank, get right up here in this area, and cast out to the pond dam. So cast this way, and then stand up over here and cast this way and over on this side, and then come over on this side and cast that way. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that you're fishing the inside of the pond dam as well as the outside of the pond dam. All right, so you got your pond dam there. You've also got a couple different things to take a look at here. Some really good rock piles. This one's a really good one, kind of has it all scattered up into one little bitty clump, so I can see that being a good spot. There are some buoys here, so this is probably idle only once you get through here, but this doesn't look very big anyways. You've got a ramp back here. You've also got some riprap, a nice little point over here that you could fish around. So really like that spot. In fact, let's go ahead and pull this back, and let's just take a look at that pond and the boat ramp and everything else if we were to move the water up just a little bit. So my internet is not as fast as it should be, but give it a second and it's going to pull it in here and we're going to see it. And now you'll see where everything's just a little bit different, right? That pond dam is totally gone. That rock I was telling you about, it's gone. that whole point with that riprap and everything. Of course, the lake actually might be flooded in this image, but that riprap point is gone. Like, you can't even tell that it's there. So all of these things are really going to help you guys out when you get out there on the water. It's almost like just having the eyes underneath the water that you never had before. So I'm going back to 2014, and let's keep going. Here's all that riprap. Here's that point I told you basically just disappeared in 2017. This is probably a swim area, so there's not much you can do in there. Over here, right off of this point, we've got some pretty good rock in this point. So let me give it a second. It's trying to catch up with me. And once it catches up to me, we're going to be able to show you that rock, hopefully. And then over here, we've also got some rock as well, right off of this point, right in this area. So I'm going to zoom in. I guess this is the best image I'm going to get. Got a little bit of rock in there and a little bit of rock right in that spot as well. I like these little isolated areas, right? Most people are going to, if they come out here, they're just going to pound the bank line, and they might catch a fish like right in here. And then they're going to go, so yeah, I caught a fish. This is a great big one. And they go here and they're not going to catch a fish. Then they might catch a fish here, and then they're going to hit all that dirt again and not catch anything at all and think, well, that's really not a good spot. But if they would just set on these spots and really work these areas, just those two areas, just work around the rock, I think you're going to see where your percentages are going to become a lot higher instead of wasting all your time pounding the rest of the bank line. Just focus on those hot spots. All right, so as we move back in here, I really like this. You've got a little ditch that comes out here from this pond. So real good spot right in here. Notice there's not a lot of other cover, maybe just some really small laydowns, but not too much that I could see that could help you here. But a really good ditch that comes through here. And it comes back here, and then now you're back into this pond. And so now it changes the game. You know, you don't know how deep it is back there, but you know you got some pretty good depth because it's almost dry getting back there. But ponds are always good areas to go take a look at. So go check that out. Let's move this up to 2021. Let's go past 17, since 17 seemed to flood a lot. Actually, we'll go back to 16. So this is 16, probably more at normal pool. You'll notice that ditch that we were talking about a minute ago, it's gone. You wouldn't even know it's here, and you wouldn't realize when you're back in here that you're fishing a pond. But look how juicy that looks. I mean, it just looks excellent. Definitely go back there and take a look at that. Really cool image there. All right, so moving up here, right off of this point, a little bit of rock in this area. You know, a little bit of hard spots. So definitely take a look at that. As we move a little bit further up, we've got some additional rock, and finally, I think our first true official laydown that we were able to mark here. So, and of course, Google Earth is fine, but my internet is super slow today, so it's going to take a minute to get this image back in. Right, sorry about that, guys. My internet just totally tanked on me. So I'm going to start back over here. We were talking about the rocks right off of this point. So right in here off of this point, let's zoom in and let's take a look at this. So we got some really good rock piles right in here on this area. We got a laydown here, our first laydown that we were actually able to find. This was pretty significant. There's actually a couple of them back in this area, so I could see this being really good. A couple good little transition areas right off this spot as well. I could see that being a good hot spot. Also right in here, if you'll look, you got lighter rock, and then you're getting into this deeper rock that's right over here off of this spot too. So go check that out. Moving up here, just a lot of good rock all along that bank line. But again, where I have these points is where you find like the bigger piles or the isolated piles. So right here, a real good pile of the bigger, chunkier rock, things that they can really hang out around, snuggle up, and get close to. So as we move further down here, down the rock, we're going to see a lot of dirt, sand, things like that. We've got a foundation that's over here that you can see though. And these are always good to fish around. So this is like some kind of old farmhouse foundation or something like that. But go out and check that one out. Also another one right here, foundations that I'm talking about. Those are always cool. They're even cool just to go over and scan them, just to look at them on side imaging. But I'm a nerd when it comes to stuff like that. As we move further up here, really, you know, you've got your dirt, and then finally you start getting into some rock. You've got some good rock right here off of this point, and then if you shift down a little bit, you've got some more hard area going on right in here. But I really liked just the tip of this point. That looked like the best hard spot in that area. Moving back here, you got these little bitty points that come out, this little rock just off the edge of them. So I've got both of those marked. And then, of course, you can see here we're getting into some very heavy timber and stuff like that. So you got to be super careful coming back in here. But when we get back in here, we finally get into our first creek channels. And we haven't really been able to talk about creek channels yet, but I've marked these for you guys. man, I would definitely get back in here and check these out because you've got some really good creek channels going on back here. You've got timber everywhere you can fish around, tons of cover. It just looks really juicy. So here are your creek channels. Got them all marked for you. You could go back there, when the lake is up, go back there and fish around those creek channels. I'm going to move this up to 2016 so you guys can see this. So moving up to 2016, you can see you wouldn't know where that creek channel is if you went back in this pocket. You'd be a little bit confused, but now you know where it's at. So fish in that creek channel, in or around that creek channel, especially on the bends and the turns, and fish heavy. Fish it around that, not heavy, but fish around the cover that's there. Fish it really close to the stumps of the trees, and really just anything that's there. You want to flip as close as you can, if not completely on top of the cover that's there around that creek channel. And I'm telling you, you're going to have some pretty good success. All right, so as we move further back, I'm going to move it back to 2014. Up here, we've got a pond dam. So you can come up here and fish the pond dam as well. Of course, you're going to be idling and just using your trolling motor through all these crazy trees, but you got a pond dam here. And then you got a pretty decent little point that comes out right there. And then if you come over here, these two little points, or really, I guess just one point, has a pretty good rock top to it. So you can see here a good hard spot, lots of standing timber around it, lots of standing timber here too as well, and some additional rock right in that area. So I'm going to keep moving over here. We're going to shift down. A couple good little creek channels back in here. Take a look at these. I didn't mark all these, or I'd have too many tracks, because you do have a couple little sub ones that come out, little mini ones that can come out back in here. But this is your main one. So that's going to be your main creek channel. And I'm telling you, right in here, that's going to be juice for sure. And then pretty much anywhere along that creek channel, just follow it and fish around all that timber that's around it, that you're going to have some pretty good success. Again, moving up here, we've got another creek channel. You can see it coming up here. It's pretty significant. It goes back there pretty far. And if I'm zooming that back and just show it to you guys again, if we look at that in 2016, you're not going to know when you're out there where those creek channels are, but now you will. You'll have these points on your graph. You'll have these tracks on your graph. You'll be able to tell where those are. So make sure you go out and get that card at simplisticfishing.com. That'll definitely help you guys out. If not, get the KML and just, do your mapping yourself. So right in here, you've also got another pond dam. And then as we move around this point, tons of standing timber, right? Standing timber, you got a roadbed back in there. It looks like I didn't even see that the first time. You've actually got a foundation right in here as well. You could take a look at. That one might be pretty shallow. This roadbed looks interesting. I don't see any rock or anything on it, but definitely a roadbed in there. You've got a little pond dam back in there. The trick in this little pocket is going to be just getting back in there. There's just so much timber. It's going to be very difficult to get back in there to fish those areas. Also over in here, you've got a pond dam. You can see it right in here. Little mini pond dam, but you got one. It's right in there. And then as we move further up here, we've got some rocks. So we've got rock right off this point. Now, these are really hard for me to tell. Like, I can tell this is a hard spot, but I can't tell if this is rock or if it's just dried out or what it is. But that point looked pretty good. You definitely, I know this is for sure rock right in here. So you can take a look at this, kind of isolated in that area. And then pulling back, we come back here, and this is back here at this ramp. You can see here, the ramp doesn't have too much, riprap and stuff like that to fish around. Just really lightly, it's right up in here, right on the edge of the ramp. So that ramp might not be as good, but definitely fish the concrete part of the ramp too with the wobblehead that we were talking about earlier. You could have some success there. You also have some rocky areas over here in this little corner. Pretty shallow up in there, so not sure how good of a hotspot it would be, but definitely want to point that out to you. And then you've got rock off these points too. So real shallow, real light rock, not heavy rock, but some pretty decent rock to fish around right there off of that point. And it's so weird because, you get dirt and then a little bit of rock and dirt and a little bit of rock, but on all these spots, if you can figure it out, if you can I guarantee it's a pattern at some point in time is going to be setting up right on these transition spots, because you do have really good transition areas on this lake. So right here, this is a prime example of just a perfect line. I mean, look how perfect that line is for a transition area. So setting right up on that line and fishing that line is really going to help you guys out. So definitely don't overlook that. Try that out. See if that helps you guys out. You've also got some hard spots right here off of this point. Right in here, you've got some really good rock going on this point. Real heavy rock, I like that, the thicker stuff. Got debris again, so be careful, timber and stuff like that. Real good pond dam back here you could fish. You could set up on this one really good. Again, you're gonna have to idle back in here or a trolling motor back in here, but real good pond dam. You've also got really good rock off of these 2 points. You can see here. And then moving back here, I didn't see too much. Let's go up here to this side. Let's take a look and see what we got over here. So right in here, I did mark some rock. And I'll be damn, that was a hard one to see. I don't even know how I found that, but basically dirt everywhere, but there is a little bit of rock right here by these trees. So take a look at that. And then obviously you want to go out here and fish this point. This point looks awesome. So if we come up here and zoom in, you got this big long point that comes out with some good rock on the top of it, which looks excellent. So let's go ahead and end the video there. That's going to stop for our first lake breakdown for Ray Roberts. We're going to stop right here off the edge of this point where it says rock. In fact, I'm even going to go in here and I'm going to change the color so we don't forget where we ended last time. And that is where we will start on the next video. So if you haven't gone out yet and taken a look at our site, please do so. It's simplisticfishing.com. You can go ahead and get all of these waypoints that are out there. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. Go ahead and get all of these waypoints that are out there, and that will be able to import those into your graph. And then from there, basically you just go out on the lake and you start fishing. So until next time, guys, I hope you catch your BB. Take it easy.